I'm doing my eBay business and my friend's working construction with my dad. And my friend came in and he made 60 bucks working all day. I had checked my eBay and I made 90 bucks that hour. I was 15, I'm super confused. I'm like, how did I just make $91 on a computer?
Right.
When my friend just made 60, he worked all day shoveling sand, and I'm like, I have to pursue this. So I went from broke to 6 figures within 6 months, and that's when everything changed. And I wrote a book, 6 Months to 6 Figures, because I wanted to help people reach their first 6 figures, because I felt like I had a formula. I've sold over 800,000 copies.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Money Mondays. We are here at the ranch right this second, and our guest is throwing an event 17 feet away from us inside of the barn here at the Wild Jungle. And since he's throwing an event, I thought maybe I can just drag him outside. I've been wanting to get a podcast with him for over a year now, and so the timing is perfect. He's got all his mastermind members outside, learning, teaching, networking, etc. And so we're secretly in here during lunch. We can't be too loud, otherwise they might notice we're here. All right, so this gentleman has built up a strong following, teaching people from mindset to business to investing and everything in between, because he's done it for himself. Unlike most coaches that just kind of coach to be coaches, or they're a life coach that's 19 years old and they haven't lived life, Peter has actually built up real businesses, and he's been doing these events for many years. He's done great partnerships and JVs and worked with household name celebrities, Mike Tyson, everyone in between. And so without further ado, wherever you are in the world, give a warm round of applause to Mr. Peter Voogd.
Thank you, man.
All right, as you guys know, there's 3 core topics. We talk about how to make money, how to invest money, how to give it away to charity. These podcasts are always under 40 minutes. That's why we stayed #1 for 66 weeks in a row, because of you guys. We have a very high listen through rate. For you guys out there sharing, commenting, subscribing, the reason that's under 40 minutes is the average workout, 45 minutes. The average commute to work is 45 minutes. And so without further ado, I'm going to have Peter do a quick 2-minute bio so we can get straight to the money.
Love it, man. Thank you. I've listened to it for a while, and I love this podcast because it helps people, it educates people about money, which you need to have some freedom, to have choices. I said earlier, if I've never met someone who doesn't like or respect money that has any. So it's like, it's an important topic because people just don't understand the power of having it and having freedom. So I grew up in the Bay Area in Oakland, moved to Oregon when I was younger. I've always been against the grain entrepreneur. I started an eBay business when I was 15 in high school. I built that up. I had a drop shipping business because I never wanted to work for somebody else. I wanted to make my own money. I wanted to kind of have freedom. So I'm in a small town, Dan. I'm in Florence, Oregon, on the coast of Oregon, and I'm doing my eBay business, and my friend's working construction with my dad. My dad had a construction business, and we were working. I worked with him for years, and I was paid $7 an hour. And my friend came in and he made 60 bucks working all day. I had checked my eBay and I made 90 bucks that hour. And I said, I was 15, I'm super confused. I'm like, how did I just make $91 on a computer?
Right.
When my friend just made 60, he's sweating, he's working his butt off, he's tired, he worked all day shoveling sand, and I'm like, I have to pursue this. I didn't know what it was or why I liked it, I had to pursue it. I did it for 2 years. Everybody around me, including my parents, friends, I'm in a small town that's very conservative and very, it's just a lot of 9 to 5, not really a lot of entrepreneurship. And everyone says, you have to get a normal job when you graduate high school. I said, I don't want to do that. It got beat out of me. So finally I'm like, all right, I'll get a normal job. I guess I can't do this because everybody in the world that I know and respect is telling me not to do it. So I gave that up, got a normal job, valeting cars, hated it, of course. I remember adding up my paycheck and it's the same, and no matter what I did, I made the same money. So it's frustrating. So fast forward, I went to college at U of O, got into sales. Finally, I saw that I could make money based off my effort. So I actually, because I was so hungry to make money on my own terms, to prove my family wrong that I could actually be on my own, I broke that sales record. I sold $11,000 or $12,000 of product in the first 10 days, broke the record, worked my way up, became a manager in that company. I ran my own business in Tacoma, Washington for a couple years. I was paying rent and I was hiring and training people. And in that instance, I became obsessed with building a team and leadership and helping people. And I had helped a lot of people make their first 6 figures after I did in sales. And I broke almost every company record in that company. I was so obsessed with growth and with personal entrepreneurship and with helping people that I just was obsessed with studying and learning and growing. So 23 years old, I'm broke at 22. I'm stressed out, I'm frustrated. I dropped out of business school because I'm not learning what I need to learn. I'm at U of O business school. I have a professor that's never ran a business. So I'm like, I can't do this. I have to drop out. So I dropped out of school. Started that business up in Tacoma, Washington area. Built that to a couple million, but I was only making $300,000-$400,000. So I went from broke to six figures within 6 months, and that's when everything changed. I stayed with that company a couple years. I stopped in 13, and I wrote a book, 6 Months to Six Figures, because I wanted to help people reach their first six figures, because I felt like I had a formula. It blew up more than I ever thought it would. It got to, I've sold over 800,000 copies. And that's where my speaking career took off. I was able to start what's called the Game Changers Academy. And I learned very early on to invest in real estate. So all money I got, Dan, in 13, 14, 15, 16, I invested back in real estate. So that portfolio, I think the original 900,000 I spent on real estate is probably 7 or 8 million now, just real estate.
Right.
And then there's been all kinds of things in between. But now I have a wife, 2 kids. I live on a farm in Idaho. And it's husband first, dad first, and everything else secondary. So I love life. I love business. I've got paid highly to speak, but now I feel like I've built a life that I'm proud of, and it's cool. And it's because I knew how to make money work for me.
So on the make money side of the podcast, what would you say holds people back from making more money instead of just being stuck working that 9-to-5 job that they were told they had to do?
I think they don't ever understand that you can develop money skills and study money. They don't listen to stuff like this. And because of their past, they've never reprogrammed their mind to understand that you can make money work for you. If you learn, making money is a skill set. How do you know if you have it or not? You check your bank account. If you don't have the money you want, you're not very good at making money. It's a skill to be developed. So I learned because I was around other people that had money, and I asked them questions. I was at a mastermind, a small one, when I was struggling in Washington. And this successful young guy came up. He was running a small mastermind. There was only like 15 people there. And he said something, Dan, this was 08, 09. And he said, when the economy is down, the money doesn't disappear. Right. It just transfers hands. And that changed my life. Because I thought from my small town, I was like, when the economy's down, no one has money. You got to be scarce. Save your money. Don't invest it. And that was my mentality. But when I heard from him that you can actually make more money in a down economy than you can in a great one, it changed my perspective. And then I started studying money and realizing I hated people telling me what to do. Because of how I grew up, because of my childhood, because of certain things that happened to me that I won't share today, I have this against the grain mentality that I want to do things on my terms. You can't pay me $1 million to tell me what I have to do. So I knew in order to fulfill that, I had to make money. So studying it, understanding that you have to think about this. The government's printing trillions of dollars out of thin air, and people are working so hard for their money. It's almost like it feels unfair. That's when I realized you got to work for money. You got to make the money work for you. So people just need to educate themselves, understand that they need to figure out what blockage they've had from their childhood. Schools don't teach it, so no one really has the right mentality, and they don't realize how many barriers they have because of that. Maybe their parents said, don't make money, rich people are greedy, you don't need money, and all these things play out in their head, and it causes them to go broke. How I became successful is going broke. I had no choices. I had no money. I was stressed out. I just dropped out of college. I called my mom and I was like, I might have to move back. She goes, no, you started this. Luckily, she didn't help me, and she said, you have to finish this. So I was like, I just buckled up and studied and realized the more you learn, the more you earn. And I just became obsessed in a sense. I think you've been obsessed. Yeah. I think obsession's a bad thing in society, but for entrepreneurs like us, I was obsessed with making it work, building a business. So I could talk all day about how to make money and how to attract money in your life, but you have to respect and understand money's not emotional. It's not good or bad. It's just money. It's just a reflection of value. And the more you have, the more choices you have. So
Peter mentioned something about making money in a downturn economy. So I'm going to walk you through a real life example of how that happens. So in 2018, I invested $500,000 into a company called Everbowl. Everbowl is the acai bowl chain. You guys have probably heard me talk about it in different episodes. 2019, I raised $5 million for Everbowl to help them scale. They had around 17, 18 locations, 19, 20, 21. And then, if you notice, I said 2019, March 2020 happens. Wah, wah, wah. The whole world shuts down, especially restaurants. So at that time, we had 27 locations shut down. Hundreds of employees. We
Physically couldn't make money.
Can't open the doors.
Yeah.
You have to furlough the employees. Don't know what to do. Jeff Fenster, the founder, God bless him, calls me and is like, hey, I want to figure out how we can deliver frozen acai to people's houses. He's like, I can make 90,000 bowls. I can hire a bunch of the employees to keep them working. We have money in the bank. We're okay, but like we don't know how long until we reopen. So we figured it out. We call a guy named Todd Abrams who owns Icon Meals. I just invested $3 million into Icon Meals, the healthy meal company. And I called him because he does frozen meals. Iconmeals.com. They should be frozen meals. Perfect. They get on the phone. They become best friends. Not only does he help us figure out the shipping for Everbowl, he also is like, hey, by the way, you should sell Everbowl on QVC. You want to sell frozen acai on QVC? Sure. Why not? Every 11 minutes, $150,000 in acai sales.
Just from that connection.
$7 million in sales on QVC alone because of this random situation of the world shutting down. But wait, there's more. Also, while everyone else on the planet is closing down their restaurants.
Scared and fearful.
For sure, they're scared. Canceling their leases, not calling tenants back, not calling landlords back. Everyone just doesn't know what to do because it's 2 weeks till there's a cure. 2 weeks becomes months and months and months. And so Jeff Fenster goes on the offensive. He signs over 300 leases
for new
locations because he's getting $50,000 to $100,000 in what's called TI, tenant improvements. Yep. He's getting 6 months free, 12 months free.
Yep. Wow.
Oh, you're $4,000 a month? No, I'll give you $2,800. So he's negotiating leases, getting free 6 to 12 months, and getting $50,000 to $100,000 in tenant improvements, while everyone else is closing down. You know why? Because the landlords and the building owners, what are they supposed to do? No one else is calling them to get a lease right now for a restaurant. Who's crazy enough to do that? Fast forward, we now have 96 locations open, one new one every 6 days, raised $15 million more funding. Drew Brees bought 160 locations. We've sold 430 locations, all stemming from the shutdown when everyone else was in fear. And so what Peter mentioned was, in a downturn when everyone else is in fear, we ran forward towards the war, and we ended up winning.
Because of networking as well, which is you're one of the best in the world at. People need to realize money is networking as well. Because I think what's more valuable as money in the bank is your network and who answers your phone call. You know what I mean? If you can connect with anybody and have access to capital and high-level people, and you have access to information, access to opportunities, you call the shots in a sense. That's huge.
So on the investing side of things, you mentioned that you were deploying capital into real estate. I absolutely love that. Walk us through how at a young age you're like, you know what, I just made 50 grand, I'm going to throw into real estate. I just made 100 grand, I'm going to throw most of it into real estate. Walk us through that thought process.
Well, first, I remember hearing like, money loves speed, and if your money's not working for you, it's wasted. I just remember hearing that over and over again. And I remember when the economy went down in 2008, I made my first 6 figures 2009 in that down economy. Everyone stressed out. My small town was so, I guess they were very scarce mentality focused, and I made my first 6 figures. Then the year after, I made even more, and I remember getting a check for a week of sales. We broke some type of record, and my commission check was $70K. So it was, I'm 23, 24. My family's not doing well. All my friends and their parents are struggling. They can't pay the rent, and I'm this kid that makes $70K. I almost felt bad. I'm like, what the hell is happening? This is super weird. I wasn't focused at all on money. I was focused on a cause and a mission. I was focused on getting my team rallied to crush it, and the money came. So when I made that, I said, I got to make the money move. I got to make the money move, because there's this old adage, Dan, you got to save your way. And really, with inflation and what's happening now and government printing money, saving's not going to get you wealthy. It's investing. It's moving the money. So I found a deal in Furcrest, Washington. I found a deal, and I bought my first piece of property for $285. Sold it for $385 10 months later. Put that money into another property in Arizona. Rented it out. It was cash flowing. And then from then, every time I made a good chunk of money, I invested it back in real estate. Now it's more Airbnbs and short-term rentals, and I've done apartment buildings and stuff like that. But I learned because I was lucky to have my mom and dad had some rentals. And I saw the money they were making from it. Every month they were collecting money from their tenants, and I was like, this is cool. So I was lucky to have parents that actually already invested. That's where I got it from. So they kind of trained me, but I was the one making the money, putting it in. And then I had to manage it and find the right property management companies. And now we have so many rentals that there's issues all the time. Sure. But it comes with the game. You know what I mean? So, and I love it because the money, I don't have to work ever again. The money works for me. But I love what I do, so I work all the time. And you know that feeling. Yeah.
So someone out there is listening, they are making their money, right? They started making 50 grand, now 80 grand, now 100 grand, now 200 grand. They start saving up some money. They've got 100 grand to deploy. How they decide when there's real estate, the stock market, cryptocurrency, there's just so many different things to choose from. How did you land on real estate, and why should people consider?
I've done many different investments. I've done hard money loans. I've done short-term, long-term, Airbnb. I've done land. I've done crypto. I've done a lot of them. It really depends on your situation, and it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for just out of sight, out of mind, I don't want to say easy money, but the easiest money you can get in working for yourself is the short, like long-term rental game with the right property in the right location. It depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to make the money work quick, like for right now, it's very important to have a business that prints money. Have a business based on your skills and strengths that prints money, and you can invest that money into specific crypto based on knowing the right people, knowing the right project owners, not gambling. A lot of people in crypto gamble and make no money. If you don't gamble and you know the right people, you're in the right circles, you can make a lot of money with your money. So what I've been doing is taking money from my business, investing in crypto, making that work and making a ton of money there, bringing it out, putting it back into hard assets, land and real estate. It depends on where you're at. If you want to make quicker money, I don't think there's a lot more time in crypto to do that. I think the time is shortening because regulations are coming. I think by next year, it's going to be harder and harder to make these type of gains. Some of them, we could talk money. Some of the money I've made in the last couple of months in crypto is more than I made in my Web 2 business for like 2 years. It's a weird world, man. Yeah. But I tell people, money is easy to make if you focus on it and you become so valuable that it comes to you and you network. Here's the formula that I've used to make money and make it work for me that I haven't shared much, but I'll share it. And it works for everyone I've ever talked to. I was just on Ryan Pineda's podcast. He said, yes, he does it. I'll see if you do it. There's 4 things all millionaires invest in that I've ever talked to and ever met. I've interviewed a lot of people, David Goggins and Mike Tyson, and a lot of people that have been around and are pretty well known. The first thing almost everyone invests in that makes money work for them is themselves. Whether it's masterminds, whether it's their mentality, whether it's books, audios, whether it's events, they invest back in their mentality to sharpen their intellect. I don't know any successful person that hasn't invested back into their mindset. That's number 1. And this has to be this order. Number 2 is back in their business. So when you're building your business and you're making money work for you, you got to invest that money back into the business, into personnel, into marketing, into ads, into employees, into whatever your business is relevant to. Invest in that business to make the business grow. So when I make money, I invest it back in the business. I'm sure you do the same thing. Or you find the right people and hire them to run the business. Invest in yourself, invest back in your business. Number 3 is investing in assets that work for you. Real estate, sometimes art. I know I was talking to Rob from Dope, who I believe you know. He was telling me he's buying jerseys and cards. He bought a Mickey Mantle card for $5 million, sold it for $7 million. He bought a Michael Jordan jersey, the finals jersey. That's made a couple million. Cars, collector cars, watches, artwork, jerseys, real estate, land. Invest that money you're making from your company into things that appreciate and make more money. It could be wine. And then number 3, that's key, is invest back in that assets. And number 4 is memorable experiences with people you care about. Maximizing memorable experiences. If you use this formula, not in out of order, if you invest in yourself, you grow your intellect, grow your network, then you invest in your business, grow your business, invest that money in assets that make money work. Eventually, you never got to work again. And then 4 is experiences. Because when I go on experiences and I pay for everything, I go with my family, I fly in first class, and I'm excited about what we're doing, whether we're going to the Keys. I have an event in Miami, and we're going to Keys afterwards with my entire family, my brother's family. Taking care of that is amazing. And I don't know about you, but if you fly first class, you go to Dubai, you go somewhere amazing, are you less motivated or more to make more money?
Way more.
Way more. So you spend 10 grand, 20 grand on a vacation, or if you're Fleischman, I don't know, 100 grand on a vacation because it's Dan Fleischman, or get everything paid for it because you know so many people, whoever it is. You're fired up to make more money when you get back. And I see people skip that. They don't invest in themselves, but they invest in the business. Their business goes under because your business is a reflection of you as a leader. Or they invest only in experiences because they're like, YOLO, you only live once, but they have no business. So they're kind of escaping reality and it never works out. So that's the formula that I've used. And I'm curious if you've invested back in yourself.
I like all 4 of them.
Back in your business, back in assets, and then back in. And your assets are mainly companies, right? That's another one. So that's the formula. And I think if you think about society, sadly, they don't invest in any of those things.
Right. None.
And I think they need to really start because as the economy gets a little more challenging for the majority of people, when there's a lot of fear in the air, there's an election. Inflation. You got to protect your bag in a sense. You got to protect your family and position yourself so nothing can be taken from you. And that's what I've tried to do. And now that I'm good, I was positioned well before COVID. And now I'm positioned in a place where now my fulfillment comes from giving back, helping others.
Yep.
And that's where the real excitement is for me now.
Well, that leads into our third topic, charity. So when I say how to make money, invest money, and give it away, I don't mean give away everything, maybe later on in life, but walk us through, why do you think it's important for people or their businesses to be involved in charity?
Well, I've heard if you don't think money's everything, you haven't given enough away. I didn't fully invest, and it's a different aspect of giving back, but my first taste of knowing that I wanted to actually help people was when I was in sales and I was field training. Some guy was ready to quit. He was ready to quit, and he said, "Can I go with you on your appointment? You've been doing well." I'm like, "Sure." Came with me, he watched me. And he goes, "Oh, I didn't know you did that. Wow, you taught me, that's how you close the customer. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you used this technique." Long story short, I have chills. He was going to quit. His family was struggling. He was going to get evicted. He became one of the top reps in the entire company. So, and I had this feeling as a young kid, like, wow, I've made 6 figures, but I got more enjoyment watching him do well.
Right.
It's weird. So I knew giving back was more important, and I knew that was why I see so many wealthy people give back, and they get more joy doing that than making money themselves. So I then fast forward, and I've donated to a lot of children, kids foundations, St. Jude's and some other ones, but I started an NFT project, and we wanted to help cheetahs because cheetahs are one of the most extinct. They're almost extinct. But by this rate, when we have kids and our kids grow up, there'll be no more cheetahs. Myself and my wife love cheetahs. We started a whole project around it. We were able to donate over 6 figures to certain Tarzan helped us. Yep. And we still have him doing some stuff with a really cool organization. We can maybe post it below, in a different country with like literally rewilding cheetahs back into the wild. And I don't know what it's called. Something about like something with cheetahs, like duplicating them and making more of them. Tarzan knows the exact term. And it was the most fulfilling thing. We get letters from them. We've donated to kids overseas and kids in Honduras, and we get letters from the kids now. I don't know. It's selfishly fulfilling. I don't know if selfish is the right word, but I think there's nothing else greater than donating, giving back, donating your time, your money, your effort to helping people who are less fortunate. It's amazing, man. And I'm still young, but I mean, it's amazing to do that. And I know you've done it, and I know a lot of my friends do it. And I used to wonder, why are you giving away your money? But now I'm like, I get it.
I'm obsessed with charity, obviously.
It's awesome, man.
We throw 6 charity events per year. The world's largest toy drive being the main
I want to get more involved.
Public one for kids. We do a Thanksgiving food drive. We do a back to school day. We do a report card day. We have 400 families come to Hubble Studio in downtown LA. And then I throw Steve Aoki's charity event. We help him each year do a charity poker tournament.
Cake in the face.
Yeah, he always gets me. Okay.
You make me feel bad. I need to step my charity game up.
It's not just about the money part, it's the energy part. Yeah. And more importantly, if you inspire your mastermind members to do it, that's the butterfly effect. My whole point of charity is to show other people how to do charity.
Great. If I donate more because of you, that helps. And then I bring in my audience, that helps. It's a flywheel thing.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question that I've never had the same answer to.
Oh.
Okay. And I try to ask it on almost every episode.
Never had the same answer?
Never once had the same answer. And I'm not going to get the same answer today.
Interesting.
You said your number one focus is your kids. And obviously your wife. 100 years from now, 150 years from now, with modern technology, when you pass away, because you're going to have robot arms. And
I'll be 150.
Yeah. And you've got your 9 million in real estate becomes 90 million or 900 million, and maybe you become a billionaire. Who knows? Peter's been on a great trajectory. You've got hundreds of millions of dollars one day. How much on a percentage basis are you going to leave to those kids?
I think the amount is irrelevant because I'm training them to not even want it. So whether it's 100 million, a billion, 5 million, I think they won't want it because they're going to be self-sufficient and realize it's not about money. I will give them a certain percentage, and I haven't thought about that. That's a great question. Of course, you would ask a question like that. That makes me think.
It's already not the right answer. It's already not. When I say right, I mean it's already
same answer.
Yeah, same answer.
It's just it's the amounts are relevant because I want to raise my kids to understand that there's more than that. So I want, like, when my mom wants to give me money, she's built quite a portfolio now, and she wants to. I mean, obviously we're gonna get it, and I literally am like, spend it all. I don't care. I don't want it. Spend it. And I want my kids to be the same way. So that I'm trying to raise them in a way where they understand that it's worth more when you earn it. I want to give it to them so they don't have to go through certain struggles and pains that I did based on my past, but I don't want them to have it and be able to just have access and be spoiled by it. So I'll have to think of specific boundaries and specific filter systems on how they'll get it. But if I did my job as a parent, I would have them, my kids, I have 2 now, we want another one, say, I don't want that. Thank you, Dad, I don't want it. You've taught me so much that I'll do it myself, in a way. So that's my answer.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, make sure to check out Peter Voogd on social media, especially on Instagram. He does really great content. You can hear him on his podcast. You can go to his live events, go to his mastermind, etc. It's really important to have these discussions about money. The whole time we all grew up thinking it's rude to talk about money. But as you can see, the things that we're talking about are for real life stuff. Yep. Travel, family, children, charity, and everything between. Those are all very functional things in your life, and they are all very positive things. So when people try to make money seem rude or evil, it's not rude or evil to pay for your kids' travel or buy your parents first class tickets or go have experiences around the world or pay for houses, life, events, food, beverage, insurance, medical, everything between are all money related. So let's remove the stigma from our minds, have the discussion about money. Check us out at themoneymondays.com. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out Peter on social media, and we will see you guys next Monday.
Appreciate you, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Money Mondays, where we are going to talk about 3 core topics: how to make money, how to invest money, how to give it away to charity. I want to appreciate you guys. Thank you guys with gratitude, because you've kept us #1 on the charts for now 68 weeks in a row. We've also broken to the top 50 of all podcasts on the planet on iTunes. Holy smokes. We appreciate you guys. You can continue to help us by liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Obviously, all those things help. Every single little like, comment, subscribe, individual helps. So we can keep doing that. Also, check us out on themoneymondays.com. Every Monday at 4 o'clock, I go live and do a live Zoom call and live Q&A every 4 p.m. PST at themoneymondays.com. Okay. We are going to get into it because it is hot. It is the summertime. And what happens in the summertime is you need air conditioning. You need solar power. You need electricity. You need to fix your roof. And so our guest today helps with all those things because he owns multiple companies in that category. And he teaches other people how to build and scale those businesses that do HVAC, roofing, solar, etc. So his name is very easy because it's also Dan. I'm going to have him dive into his bio. But first, I want you guys to keep in mind, we keep these podcasts to around 30 to 40 minutes because the average workout is 45 minutes. The average commute to work is 45 minutes. So this episode will be around 30 to 35 minutes today because it's extra hot outside. And we are inside an RV motorhome here at the Wild Jungle right now. It is over 100 degrees. So we're going to do around 30 to 35 minutes for you guys. But without further ado, Dan, if you can, give a quick 2-minute bio so we can get straight to the money.
Awesome, man. Well, first I want to say thank you, Dan, for having me on, and, very impressive wildlife facility that you have here. Yeah, I've been in direct sales, building companies for going on almost 15 years.
Nice.
Everywhere from starting out in door-to-door to learning how to build teams, manage teams, lead, and then to, building my own companies and then acquisitions and mergers and all those kind of things.
So in the door-to-door space and the solar, roofing, HVAC, a lot of times it gets overlooked as not the normal entrepreneur career because it takes work.
Right.
People have to go door-to-door. They have to interact with humans. They got to go build things. And there's not as much labor as there was in the past because a lot of people want to become TikTokers and influencers and other things. They don't necessarily want to be doing the roofing. I think, actually I feel like I know, that category is going to start to charge more and more and more and more because there's going to be less and less available labor out there. Talk us through what your thoughts are on the future of manual labor in those categories.
So labor has always been a pretty hot topic in the home services fields for that one of those main reasons, because a lot of the youth don't want to go into those jobs, right? Social media has created a stir in that everyone wants to be, like you said, an influencer in that way, and manual labor doesn't sound inviting. People don't know how much money you can make.
Right, $75 an hour sounds inviting though.
Right, and sometimes it's more. So like my dad is a plumber by trade, right? So I grew up in the trades. And he could go out and make, $4,000 or $5,000 in a day.
No way.
Yeah. But the problem is that nobody really understands that.
Sure.
But here's the other side of that. It's feast or famine.
Right.
So when he's getting jobs, there's money. When he's not getting jobs, there's no money, right? You're kind of on your own in that way. If you go down the entrepreneurial side of the home services industry. I grew up seeing that, and it made me not want to be a contractor because I saw, okay, you can make some good money,
Right.
but then you could be completely
you
broke.
gotta eat what you kill. Yeah.
You know, and he wasn't the best business mind, but he was a great craftsman with his hands.
Sure.
And, you know, I didn't learn the craftsman side. I took on a sales job because I wanted to, you know, learn how to influence people and accomplish the career path a different route, right? It happened to be in construction. So when I was going door to door, it was for a construction company. And when I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, I'm going door to door for a construction company. He said, that's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. I'm like, well, I can see that they need it.
Sure.
And so I knock on the door and I say, hey, you need
yeah,
to.
your roof sucks.
Your roof sucks. You got.
There's a rainstorm coming,
You know?
or there was a tornado last week.
You know,
Your
so-
roof sucks.
So it made sense to me, and I saw how scalable that was, and that's how I got started in the construction industry my way, where, you know, he could get and maybe do one job a week, 2 jobs a week at the most, where I could get 10, 15, 20, 100
Right.
just by knocking on doors. I just had to figure out how to manage and get those jobs done. So it's the way to market that made all the difference for me to want to stay in the construction industry. And once I learned the door-to-door side, everything else kind of became easier to understand.
All right, rapid fire question, and you can just give a ballpark. Don't have to be exact. What does an average roofer make in a month?
Okay, so when you say average roofer, the guy putting a roof on, or the
guy
guy
working, not the owner,
so like a sales guy?
the guy that actually is doing the roof.
So depends on what market you're in. Every market's different. So
Just a ballpark.
It's like $25 an hour. So, you know, you're $25-$30 an hour. You know, so you're looking at, you know, 800,000, 1,500 a week, depending on your level of your expertise.
Solar.
Little bit more than that.
Yeah.
So you're commanding somewhere around 28 at the bottom, up to, you know, I've seen them at $40-$50 an hour.
HVAC is more, right?
HVAC is a little bit more because it's more technical.
Yeah.
Right. So you can charge a little bit more for that, but it's the same kind of idea. And here's what's crazy. I can spend an hour with you, sell you a roof, right? And now you have I sell you a roof. I might make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for my hour-long conversation.
Whoa.
But the guy that's going to be standing on the roof for the next week doing it,
Right.
he makes $1,000, $1,200 a week.
Sure.
You know, the disparity between sales and installation is massive.
So I know door to door. I speak at so many door to door conferences, Solar Con and Roofing Con, literally every single year for the past half a decade. I've spoken at so many door to door conferences, and I see these kids that 21 years old, 24 years old. They're like, yeah, I made 200,000 this summer. Oh, I made 80,000 this summer. Oh, I made 60,000. I made $500,000. I made 100,000. They just casually talk about 6-figure amounts in a summer. Have you ever done the actual door to door side, like where you were out there, like?
I did it for a decade.
Oh wow! Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Let's
like,
dive in.
yeah, man.
Right.
So look, dude, I am a door to door guru. I've been doing door to door for a long time. That's how I started.
Yeah.
I built these. I built a reputation as being a top performer, and from that, it started my leadership career because
Got it.
people would come up. I remember the first time someone came up to me and said, "Hey, Dan, dude, like," and I was 22 years old, right, and I was just starting out in my door to door career. And he came to me and he said, Dan, like, you're really good at this. Can you show me how? I'm like, of course.
Sure.
Like, come on with me,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't realize, but that was the start of leadership. And from there, I became, you know, I started at a pretty big company in the home improvement space going door to door. And I moved my way up from, you know, team member to team leader to assistant manager, branch manager, district manager.
Yep.
And so by 23, I was running half of this company's door-to-door program.
Whoa.
Because I was good at, you know,
Sure.
speaking and talking and motivating, and I love to help people. I love to see people, you know, walk through the clouds of darkness into the light and be like, oh wow, I can actually change my life if I go out here and I give it everything I have. So yeah.
What's the biggest fear for someone to go?
Oh, dude, it's. I had a guy just the other day. He's new, and he says, Dan, I have such a anxiety even just going up and knocking on the door. It's so scary. I'm passing up home after home after home. I'm just so scared to even, like, I don't know what it is. And it's either a fear of rejection. It's an anxiety of like, you don't know what's outcome. It's gonna, you never know.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of fears there. And also, do you have the ability to even perform and do the job? Because in door to door, you eat what you kill, right? And so there's a natural fear behind that industry that is, it's unavoidable. Even someone like me who's been doing it for so long, like I go out there every once in a while. I like to be out there with the team and go hit some doors and lead by example in that way. And even for me, having done it, building companies, doing all this stuff, I go out there and those first couple doors, that first door is still like there's little butterflies that come in, you know, and you just, it's unavoidable. So if it happens to me, it's happening at a much higher level, especially when you're new. So the best thing you can do is just hit that first door, get it out of the way, right? Who cares what happens? And oftentimes what happens, you sign up that first person.
Oh my God.
It's a done deal.
Yeah.
The rest of the day is easy. It's cake.
Yeah. I think it's interesting for almost any kid, you know, fresh out of high school to try it. Like,
I think
go
it should
through the
be
experience.
It's almost should be mandatory, right? Like either door to door or the military. Like something's got to give you some discipline, you know. And there's people that have gone down different roads. Like you've gone down a very different road, very successful in what you do, in social media and all the other avenues of investing. And for a lot of these kids that don't have that, that have no background in this stuff, you know, and like where I come from, it's a pretty rough area. So most people don't make it out of that type of environment. They get stuck selling drugs or going to jail or getting killed trying to do, you know. And so like I grew up around that, and there wasn't really an escape path. And I got lucky that I found door to door. I fell into it. And for me, being a sports guy and being competitive, it was easy for me to look at sales like I look at sports on a stat sheet. Because at the end of the week, everybody's name was on this list and everybody's numbers was on it. I'm like, well, if I'm going to show up here, I have to have my name at the top of the name.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the competitive side that a lot of these guys that are competitors naturally, most men are like naturally competitive, they can find sales as an outlet if you focus in on that, and you can create financial freedom, which is really what everybody's looking for.
So I used to work at Qualcomm Stadium. Peanuts, Cracker Jacks here. Cotton candy, ice cold lemonade. And there was 120 to 180 reps. You know, the guys wearing orange hats, the bright neon orange hats.
Yeah, yeah.
If I wasn't number one, I would go out and sell in the parking lot after the game.
Just to be number one.
I had to be number one. No, like I'm actually tense talking about it. I had to be number one. I would not leave. Like anything to do it.
Dude, that is the fundamental foundation of door to door. Like if you're not willing to give it all out there, you're not going to be successful. It's one of those industries where you can't part-time it really. Some people try to, but like the summer programs that you were talking about earlier, those are very unique. So you have year-round canvassing and you have summer programs. Summer is like the college students that come out.
Salt Lake City mostly, and then they go off to different cities,
Right. And so what they do is they have a very short amount of time to make a bunch of money. So they'll work 6 days a week. They're going morning to night.
Right.
It's very intense. We have a summer program that we recruit out of Utah and other states and colleges and all that. And then we have our year-round programs in our different markets. And so it's a very different dynamic. Like the year-round type of program requires a lot of heavy leadership and drive and motivation on a consistent basis. Because you got to get people like, you're going to go knock, it's 112 degrees. Imagine it's this,
right?
And then you're out there in Phoenix and you're knocking all day long. It's hard. Sure. Right. And you're faced with rejection after rejection after rejection. And that weighs on you, especially with the elements putting more pressure on you. So with those things, the different types of door to door require different types of management styles and intensity levels. So I was a year-round guy for so long. I learned how to every single day bring just a massive amount of energy and passion to my team, because that was what helped them get over those hurdles of adversity so they can find that success.
All right, so we talked about the making money side. Let's talk about the investing side.
Okay.
These kids are 21, 23, 27 years old, making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, and they're babies. I mean, they're literally 22 and a half years old, right? Like, walk us through, you were doing it, right? You're making 6 figures a year in your early 20s. How did you not just like go buy 3 cars, go buy 4 watches, go spend it all at the nightclub, bottle service? Like, walk us through.
So, well, I'll tell you, I guess that's a deeper story that probably requires a little bit more time, but I can give you, I'll try to shorten the version. I had a good friend of mine who I watched from a young age save money when he was started at 12 and started saving every dollar. And I kept calling him crazy. Like, dude, what are you doing? And he graduated middle school with $1,500 because he saved his $5 of lunch money. Right. So he didn't eat lunch. Wow. So instead of while I was eating lunch, he wasn't eating and just putting the $5 in a piggy bank, $1,500 by the time. So by the time he was able to work at 14 and a half, you can get your worker's permit. I think it was either 14 or 15, one of those. He started working. I said, dude, come play football with us. Come do all these things. He went to work. Right. So I watched him and I would talk shit and he would be like, dude. And I told him, I remember the day I told him, I said, you have your whole life to work. And he looked at me and said, I'm not going to work my whole life. And this was, I was 15. We were 15. And by the time he graduated high school, he had $75,000.
Wow.
And even then, it didn't click. Like, I'm like, dude, this is, and even then it didn't click. And then finally, you know, that was like 2008, housing market. So he went and bought a couple of properties. And I'm like, okay, things are starting to make sense now. So I went deep dive where I was not like that. And I went deep dive into saving money. So I made the decision, I'm not spending it on anything anymore. I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, guess what? We're not doing anything, okay? So, and that's just what the life was. And that's what it took for me as I started making money and taking it serious, and I got in door to door, that I wasn't going to spend any money. I wanted to create a foundation. So that's really what it is I was thinking farther ahead.
So what advice would you give to these kids that start making good money, 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand? Maybe they're not in door to door, but they're just start to make some money. And by the way, they could be 30, 40 years old as well. To avoid, and I'll have my answer as well, going and buying the second car and the third watch and the fourth XYZ. Well,
I mean, I think it comes down to, you know, what do you want personally? I don't necessarily think that buying a second car or a third whatever is bad if you're wise at money management. You know, like what the problem that kids get in is they make a bunch of money and then they blow it all and they're broke. Where you can take some money and if you invest it properly or you put it in the right places, you can buy the things that you want to buy. You may have to wait a little bit longer than you think, which is okay, right? Invest the time to create the capital to have the things that you want. But I'm not necessarily against buying stuff. I'm just against poor money management. So just to pivot off that for a second, because we're toying with this idea right now with our own team of how to take these kids, right? And they start making money, how to give them financial literacy. It's one thing to say, hey, here's a job that gives you an opportunity to make 100 grand in 3 months in a summer. That's great. But what are you going to do with that? What knowledge are you going to have? So we're toying with the idea of like, what if we create an investor pool where the kids can put money into real estate purchases, right? That the company kind of manages for them. And so as long as they're with the company, they have this thing and it stays with them forever. And, you know, if they want to get bought out, they can get bought. Like we'll work on the legal side of it, but that way they have a chance to like take their money instead of blowing it on the weekend on girls and you know, big parties, they can invest it and start building kind of that future portfolio.
All right, guys, I'm going to have a very blunt discussion with you guys. When you buy your second car, you will feel nothing. When you buy your third watch, you will feel nothing. When you buy the 3-bedroom, the 4-bedroom, the 5-bedroom, or you rent the 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, you'll never go into the 4th bedroom, ever, at all, not once. You will never stay in the 3rd or 4th bedroom, ever, because it's you and your girlfriend, or you and your wife, or you and your husband, or whatever the thing is, and you're going to stay in the main 2 bedrooms, the kitchen, and the living room, and that's it. You will never, ever, ever go to bedroom number 4 and 5, at all. And it's really, really, really rare that you have that many guests, and you don't really want that many guests at your house. And I say that because we've all watched it. And over the course of time, I've watched friends with tens of millions, hundreds of millions, etc., and they are numb to those things. But I've also watched people make 100K, 200K, 300K, and that second car, they're like, oh yeah, it's only another $1,200 a month. No, that's $14,400 a year on a 5-year lease. That means you got $70,000 or $80,000 going to that car. What would happen if you put $70,000 or $80,000 into a real estate investment or into the stock market and you make 10-15% a year? All of a sudden that 70-80 grand becomes $150,000. What happens with 150? 150 becomes 200K, 300K, 500K, $1 million.
But see, that's the financial literacy that's missing.
Yes.
And they don't teach you that in school, which I think is...
That's what we're here for.
That's right. That's what we're here for, right? And this is why these types of podcasts and this type of environment is so important for the youth. And really not just the youth. It's really anybody. Like my parents don't have that kind of financial literacy. They couldn't pass that down to me. Everything that I've learned, I've had to learn on my own and from guys like you that have created success in different ways, right? Like I might be good at building these direct sales companies. You're good at your types of investments, but together we can learn so much more and go so much faster because there's like as soon as you say you know everything or you think that you know everything, you're screwed. And
especially in evolving markets.
And especially when you're young, where you think that death never comes, right? And so that's kind of like So you're right on. Like you can make a lot of money, but it's not about what you make. It's about how you use it.
Yeah. If you start making money early and you start deploying investments, you can be set up forever, ever, ever. Just basic investments. But also, as you guys have heard me talk about the 40-40-20 concept of 40% low risk, 40% medium risk, 20% high risk. If you're throwing in 2K, 5K, 10K, 50K, 20K, again, the number's adjustable to you and your life and what's going on in your career. But you start throwing those investments in on a consistent basis, oh my God. Especially if you start in your 20s and 30s, you can literally be set forever. If you just make basic investments, nothing fancy, no startup, no like crazy, oh, I invested in Uber. No, you buy like 80K property and 80 becomes 110 and you're getting $1,000 a month. You bought Google and Netflix and Facebook stock and some Tesla stock and Amazon stock and you just didn't sell it. And then you bought some Apple stock and then you add some more Apple stock. You just didn't sell it. And you threw in 10 grand, 5 grand, 20 grand, and now it becomes 50K and 100K over the course of time. Like you just do basic stuff. You can sell yourself forever if you start making money. All right. Third and final topic, charity. Why do you think it's important for people as individuals to do some form of charity, whether it's financial, emotional, or they're just putting in their time and energy into it?
Well, I think charity is fundamental to a functioning society. Like if you have something that, and you don't need to be wealthy or anything like that to give charity.
Correct.
You know, because charity can be monetary and charity can also be time. And so I like to give charity because I believe that that is a way for me to give back to the world. You know, it's all about like, I'm a big believer in energy, right? Like energy kind of moves things. And so if I take energy and I give it to others and I provide them with, whether it's donating to some charity or it's volunteering time to help kids or animals or whatever the case is, those things also come back. And not that you have to do it for that reason, but I believe that, you know, the world is just this energy cycle just revolving. And, you know, the more charity that you give, the more that comes back to you. And you should want to give back. It shouldn't be just about you and what you can gain in this life. That's kind of my opinion.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I've never gotten the same answer for. And I have a very strong feeling I'm not going to get the same answer right now. Right over there inside of that barn are two small children. 100 years from now, when it's time for you to go, and let's say you've got $100 million saved up at the time, more or less, whatever, you get the concept. What percentage of your fortune do you leave to those two little kids?
I don't know if I can answer that today.
Already not the same answer. See?
Because I don't. I'm a new father, and I want to instill in my children disciplines and you know what finite resources mean and how to be tenacious to creating success for your life. I want to give them those things, but I also don't want them to struggle like I did. Sure. So it's hard to answer that today because there's so little, and I probably need more time to just be around more of the world to make what I believe is going to be the best decision for them. I don't want to enable them in a way that hurts them, but I also don't want them to struggle. You know, $100 million is very far from struggle, right? And so there's probably somewhere in the middle there. I just can't answer. I want them to be set up though. You know, it's hard. I'm torn on that. It was part of my conversation with Wayne last night was this, because like I don't want them to resent me because you know, I don't leave them something, but I also don't want to enable weakness and where they don't have the drive to become, you know, their own success in their own ways, you know. So it's a really tough question to answer. Talk to me in like 30 years. Got it.
I'll have you back on here then. If you could give everyone your social media, or how can they go find you, follow you, check you out?
Yeah, at dan.zrihen, Zrihen on Instagram. That's where I'm mostly. I'm always open to have a conversation and meet and talk and discuss business. And, you know, I'm a very, very much do I believe in entrepreneurship and the ability to really create whatever you want in life. If you can surround yourself with the right people, put yourself in the right environment and, you know, just push forward and never give up. Just always have, what your goals are on the mind and focus on those things and try to stay away from, the bad side of life that can easily drag you down. And financial freedom and sitting in podcasts like this in 110-degree trailers can be yours. Yeah. So it's really up to everybody and what they want to accomplish.
All right, guys, check us out on themoneymondays.com. Make sure to have these discussions with your friends, family, and followers about money. We all grew up thinking it's rude to talk about money. I think it's rude and ridiculous to not talk about it. So make sure you have these conversations with people about accounting, taxes, salaries, life, everything in between. Have these discussions. It's important for financial literacy, for the people around you, for yourself, and the people that are going to be here long after you. We have to have these discussions about money so that they can protect themselves and better their lives. So check us out at themoneymondays.com, and we'll see you guys next Monday.